In summer 2001, Mariah Carey was one of the most successful female recording artists of all time. But her world was unraveling.
I really don't feel that I should be doing music right now. I just can't trust anybody anymore right now because I don't understand what's going on.
It was like true confessions. There was a sense of it being life or death. She had to get out what she had to get out.
Mariah's clean-cut, youthful image and astonishing vocal gymnastics in 1990's Vision of Love and 1991's Emotions changed the face of pop music.
That enormous range that she had was just mind-boggling.
And, you know, was up there with the Birds.
I saw how beautiful she was and how well she could sing, and I was like, well, that's a really crazy combination.
Mariah wrote and produced songs that outsold Michael Jackson, even Elvis. Yet her reputation is built on outrageous diva behavior.
Nobody was allowed to talk to Mariah or approach her.
Mariah, she demands a red carpet, never wears flat shoes, always in high heels. Even when she goes bowling, she wears high heels. Her world also includes bathing in cold milk. Why not?
She loved being a diva darling.
For some, Mariah's diva persona masks a deeply troubled woman.
You want to take pictures of me?
Struggling to resolve the conflicts of her past.
Mariah Carey's father always said that any child of his would be discriminated against.
There was a lot of hate, a lot of violence.
She was a very confusing figure to a lot of people.
Because you hear people ask all the time, is she black? Is she white?
Mariah fought to create her own identity.
You're not letting me be me. I'm not McDonald's, Tommy.
Music for Mariah has proven to be her sword and her shield against outside forces.
She was getting jacked and sabotaged.
There's like people called haters. No, Cindy. One more thing. And we give them positivity. Let's go. You see, I can't even get a minute.
Then, in July 2001, Mariah Carey hit a wall.
She had all of these things coming at her that were poison arrows.
I was disturbed and manic.
No, get off of me!
There were a lot of rumors that she tried to kill herself.
No.
This is the inside story of how and why Mariah Carey's world buckled, then collapsed.
To see somebody on a pedestal really get the crap beat out of her, it was very, very sad.
And her ongoing battle to rise again.
She is a warrior, she's fearless.
In the words of her family,
She was my only sister. Just wanted her to be happy.
and closest colleagues.
She reminds me of a ship going through icebergs. You know what I mean?
Okay, so the script is being written right now. Really, it's more of a love story.
In the year 2000, after a decade of unprecedented chart success, Mariah Carey was able to make the most of her creative clout in the record business.
It's gonna be incredible. This is gonna be one of the biggest things I have ever done.
Mariah Carey, I think, gave direction more than she ever took direction, because she was mostly right. Nobody forced her to do anything.
I really wanna do this.
For the last 3 years, Mariah has poured her energies into a movie project called Glitter. She will both star in the film and create a soundtrack album to be released at the same time. The movie would tell the story of a young girl from a troubled background who becomes a pop star.
In Glitter, Mariah saw a mirror. She was holding a mirror up to herself, her life, her challenges, her successes, her triumphs. The movie was set to be Mariah's breakthrough as an actress.
It was something that I've dreamt of doing always. I love acting. I've acted since I was a little girl.
The movie began shooting in Toronto in July 2000.
Action!
But there were signs of trouble from day one.
She pulled up to the studio in a big black limo, and for some reason they checked the rooftops and look around. I'm thinking, this is Toronto. No one's going to be on a rooftop sniping at Mariah from here. We just thought, oh boy, this is going to be an interesting shoot.
As filming progressed, Mariah became increasingly dependent on her acting coach as she struggled to make sense of her role.
Mariah would get quite worked up before a scene.
Don't beat yourself up.
She would huddle with the acting coach and they'd rewrite stuff.
I just want it to be perfect.
And the poor director was, at his wit's end.
There was also tension within the cast.
There was an actress on Glitter called Tia Texada, and she claimed that Mariah's diva behaviour was unbearable on Glitter. She said that Mariah is very, very jealous of any other pretty girl stealing the limelight from her. And why is she worried about someone else stealing the limelight? She feels that she has to smash the opposition.
And the diva behaviour continued.
She used to appear on set usually a couple of hours late.
People say, oh, she's late. She don't own a watch. It's Mariah Carey. She does what she wants, when she wants, and how she wants. There's no other way it's going down.
By July 2001, the movie Glitter was bogged down in post-production.
Hey, what's going on, girl? You good?
I'm good, I'm good. Listen, let's just get this done, okay?
Oh, okay.
But the chaos from the film set had infected the recording of the Glitter soundtrack album, and especially its lead single, Loverboy.
Go ahead, JD.
There was a lot at stake with the single Loverboy. She had just signed a big deal with Virgin Records, and their expectations were high.
$100 million deal with Virgin. The future of your career on a new label. That's what was at stake.
Despite her best efforts in the studio and high-octane performance in the video, reflecting the racy lyrics, the single Loverboy flopped when it was released. It entered the chart in the low 70s, her worst ever debut position. Mariah threw herself into a desperate promotional campaign to salvage the record, including a whistle-stop tour of European chat shows.
Mariah Carey!
Loverboy.
Loverboy, and
yes, and the movie is Glitter. And can you see my belt
Ooh
buckle?
la la! I didn't dare to look there. You came just over from the United States. You're jet lagged still?
I'm always jet lagged, eternally jet lagged.
This constant lack of sleep. She was not always thinking real clearly.
Was your first day in Cologne today?
You know what? I still think it's last night. I don't know if it's day or night anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
Mariah was definitely pushing herself to the limit.
Give me more.
Mariah Carey.
Back in the US, Mariah took the fight to the MTV music celebrity show TRL, where her hyper mood appeared to take a bizarre turn.
What are you doing? Oh my God. Mariah Carey is stripping on TRL right now.
Every now and then, somebody needs a little therapy.
Yes, I understand that.
And today is that moment for me.
What's wrong? Mariah Carey's
okay.
lost her mind.
I just wanted one day off when I can go swimming and look at rainbows and like eat ice cream.
Right.
Her appearance on MTV, wheeling an ice cream cart, you begin to think, maybe she can't help the way she's behaving. Maybe there's something much deeper rooted.
2 days later, Mariah's volatile behavior spilled over again during a personal appearance at a record store.
We're all just living in the moment of being positive, and there's like people called haters. No, Cindy. And we give them positivity.
Let's go.
You see, I can't even get a minute. Bye.
Her PR person took the microphone from her. It became kind of like, oh, she's like, why are they taking the microphone from her? She's out of control.
She was definitely crumbling under the weight of her own expectations.
Exhausted but unable to sleep, Mariah spoke to fans via her website.
I just want you to know that I'm trying to understand things in life right now. And so I really don't feel that I should be to the music now.
She left these sort of messages for her fans where she sounded kind of paranoid.
I just can't trust anybody anymore right now because I don't understand what's going on.
They just seemed to finally have reached critical mass.
911, what's the nature of your emergency?
At 10:19 that morning, police received a 911 call from Mariah's mother.
I told you not to call anyone! Give me the phone! It's fine.
I was very disturbed and manic. She was racing, she was yelling, breaking a bunch of objects.
Mariah had literally reached rock bottom.
But according to her boyfriend, who rushed to help, there was even further to fall.
She didn't feel safe anywhere. It was so bad to where I said, you have to go to the hospital.
There are people that are haters, and you can't give them positivity.
Calm down.
At one point, she tried to open the door.
No, no, no.
I need to be alone.
Watching your best friend try to jump out of a moving car, you know what I mean? Like, it was bad.
The release of the movie was delayed for 3 weeks, while Mariah recovered from extreme exhaustion. But public sympathy did not translate to the box office. Glitter the movie and Glitter the soundtrack album were both panned by critics.
To see somebody on a pedestal sort of really get the crap beat out of her, it was very, very sad.
People, they want to diss, they want to hate, they want to cut her down. She's a kid. It's like, my God. Cut somebody a freaking break.
After riding so high for so long, what had led so quickly to Mariah's catastrophic fall from grace? In July 2001, Mariah Carey suffered a total physical and emotional collapse in the run-up to the release of her movie, Glitter. The project was Mariah's attempt to make sense of her troubled childhood, but unleashed demons that she was unable to control.
Mariah Carey was born on Long Island in 1970. Her father was an aeronautical engineer. Her mother was a singer.
The Careys lived in a modest house in a respectable neighborhood.
On the surface, they led a pretty normal middle-class lifestyle. The problem was her father was a black man, and her mother was a white woman.
Alfred was half African-American, half Afro-Venezuelan. Patricia was an Irish-American.
As a married couple in a white neighborhood, it's bad enough to see a black man with a white woman for them. But to see a black man with a white woman, and the black man isn't working on a garbage truck, white people didn't like it. So there was a lot of rage. There was a lot of that pent-up white rage.
Mariah's parents knew only too well what was in store for their new baby, because they already had 2 kids.
I'm oldest. I was born in 60, Allison 61. Mariah's 10 years younger than me.
We were the only family where there was one white parent and one black parent. We were the only ones.
We shall overcome. Battle cry of the Negro Revolt in 1963.
Mariah's siblings had lived through the civil rights unrest of the 60s.
That era was very volatile. There was a lot of hate, a lot of violence, a lot of intimidation.
When the other little children saw me with my brother, they started giving him a hard time about it. Who's that little nigger, you know, was walking with you, that sort of thing. and Morgan basically would get in a fight.
The family moved 3 times before Mariah was born, searching for a neighborhood that would accept an interracial marriage and biracial children.
Alfred!
Get out of here!
Alfred, get away from the window! Alfred!
We had people that shot at our windows. We had people that firebombed our car.
Alfred!
It's such a myriad of just really awful, hideous stuff.
After years under constant siege, family relationships had become strained.
Hey, what have I told you about those street corners, huh?
Our father was very stern.
Stand up.
No.
Stand up. I want to see what's in this pocket. Here.
Alfred, cut it out.
Well, you never felt this sense of love.
Sit down.
It did not ever feel like, you know, the Brady Bunch, let's put it that way.
For what we're about to receive, may the Lord make us truly thankful. Amen.
Mariah was a latecomer to the Careys' complicated family life, but she was not afraid to make her presence felt.
So there were rules for sitting at the dinner table. I remember just Mariah little, she must have been 3.
Mama Luna has a first name, it's
And she's sitting there, and she's singing.
has a second name, it's M-A-Y.
And she had this really big voice, even at that age. And our father's eyes bugged out of his head.
There is to be no singing at my table, Mariah.
We do not sing at the dinner table. I just remember she just got up, and then she really started to emote.
As a child, Mariah Carey was very precocious. She would sing even though it would just annoy her father.
Mariah's instinct to entertain was a sign of things to come, but couldn't fix her parents' failing relationship. In 1973, after 13 years of marriage, Alfred and Patricia split.
When my parents got divorced, I went to stay with my father. Mariah was living with my mother and my brother.
After Mariah's father left the relationship, Mariah lost touch with her father over the years. They just became distant.
Can I use your breath, Anne?
Mariah's gift for singing was probably the one thing about her complicated identity that seemed positive.
Mariah's creative life was a shield. It had protected her from her real-life issues.
We didn't have a lot of money growing up at all. Sometimes I had to live with different friends of my mother, you know, when we didn't have a place to stay. I think one of the reasons I pushed myself so hard and worked so hard is because I never felt special. I didn't feel pretty. I didn't feel like I fit in with other kids, because I really didn't.
I know it was unsettling for Mariah moving around so much, and she was not sleeping, and she's suffered with sleep apnea as a little girl.
Mariah herself has said that traumas from her childhood probably had an impact on her mental health in later life. In 1987, Mariah moved to New York City as soon as she graduated high school, determined to be a singer-songwriter. Morgan had connections in the music business and introduced Mariah to aspiring producer Ben Margulies.
This 16-year-old girl walks in the studio with big 80s hair and a bomber jacket. And I said to her, like, we should get together and write some songs. I remember her turning to me and going, well, I don't read music or anything like that. You know, I said, I don't read music either. I just like make stuff up, you know? I had this makeshift studio in my father's cabinet factory in New York City. Very often, I think we worked way late into the night and created some of the most amazing stuff. We knew we had to figure out a way to get this music to people. You couldn't just put it online. It didn't exist. So we recorded these demo tapes.
You know what? Maybe try it in a G. Okay, yep. So come on, baby, just stay with me for one more night. Yeah. Oh, you know what? I have to go. I have to give one to Brenda. Bye.
When Mariah was invited to a record industry party, it was her friend and fellow singer, Brenda Starr, who seized the opportunity to plug Mariah's demo.
Give me your tape. Come on. Hey, how are you? Jerry, this is my friend Mariah.
Brenda handed the tape to her contact, but it was intercepted by his boss.
And, this is Tommy Mottola. Hi.
Hi.
Tommy Mottola was the new head of Columbia Records.
Mariah, what is wrong with you?
She got this tape to the right people at a party. Tommy Mottola ended up taking the tape from her.
Tommy's an Italian kid from New York. He grew up tough. He earned his stripes coming up through rock bands, publishing, management. As soon as he heard that legendary cassette, he knew the talent when he heard it.
You got a very talented daughter, Patricia.
Okay, it all looks good. Okay.
So just a little signature over there, please. Welcome to Columbia Records.
Thank you.
Mariah, this is Don.
Nice to meet you.
Sit down.
Tommy hired record exec Don Iona to oversee Mariah's bid for stardom. She was in good hands. Don had been behind Whitney Houston's rise to the top.
Mariah's personality in 1988 was shy, but determined as can be. I was just taken with her.
By now, Tommy had done some digging into Mariah's background, and it seems not everything was as straightforward as he'd imagined.
It's Tommy. Anything come up?
When Mariah signed with Columbia, I was told that Tommy had no idea that Mariah was mixed until the private detective came and basically broke it down for him.
Okay.
If Mariah's mixed black heritage was a surprise to Tommy, he remained unfazed. But he knew it couldn't be ignored.
Proud and happy.
Hey, John, it's Tommy. Listen, I need some advice. We've just signed a new artist.
Some people believe that Tommy decided to exploit Mariah's ambiguous identity.
I think Columbia Records at the time, all their popular singers that were having hits at that time were white. Mariah is part white and part black, but she looks very white. They wanted an artist that could go both ways, that she could crisscross from that R&B into the white pop area. They were looking at every means to make big money.
That's it, good. Give us a smile, come on. That's it.
We started working on the marketing and promotion campaigns.
Mariah Carey and Tommy Mottola were both in agreement to emphasize her voice. And that meant putting her in conservative little black dresses and having the big curls.
Sleek and simple, but to the point. That microphone set up everything for her, because that's what we were talking about.
Mariah's wholesome image was designed to appeal to the largest possible audience.
Because Mariah did not fit into black and white binaries, I think that the record company used that to their advantage, right? In ways that were problematic. If it involved downplaying one aspect of her identity in favor of another.
Getting this, right? Good.
Perhaps without even knowing it, Tommy's plans for Mariah tapped into deep-seated insecurities she'd had since childhood. In the years after her parents' divorce, Mariah seemed to flourish. She was popular at school and made friends easily. But it seems she was harboring a secret.
Mariah and I went to Performing Arts Day Camp on Long Island. We met and we were the best of friends for several years.
Okay, you two, do you have something for me? Here we go. 1, 2, 3.
I remember her mother being very interested in our vocal endeavors. Mariah's mother was a tall, white woman. I never met her father. Just didn't talk about him.
All right, but good. Now who wants a drink? Okay.
I have zero recollection of even knowing she was biracial.
According to Alison, Mariah was encouraged by her mother to downplay her mixed-race heritage.
She was not told to tell the truth about her father. She looked white, as far as I was concerned, you know, and she had long blonde hair. She was very popular. And I don't think that if they were aware that she was interracial, that their parents would be comfortable with that.
Our mother has said to me many times that, in fact, she wanted Mariah to have a markedly different childhood than we did, and that happened.
Mariah's habit of concealing her racial identity appears to have continued right up to her being signed, according to her friend Brenda Starr, as she explained to Wendy Williams on WBLS Radio.
Right, so at that time, she addressed herself as a white girl?
She said, yeah, she says, you know, I'm white, and she's a white girl.
Mariah's traumatic childhood left her uneasy with her biracial heritage. But some believe it also laid the ground for her later psychological breakdown.
I had a vision of love, and it was all that you've given to me.
In May 1990, Vision of Love was the first single off her eponymously titled debut album. By August, the song was at #1.
With Vision of Love, it was probably the first time we had heard such an extraordinary range from somebody in the pop world.
Vision of Love, stylistically, it wasn't even really what was happening at the time. But that's probably why it was so great, is that it kind of came out of left field and people heard it on the radio and they're like, oh my God, what is this?
Mariah's Cinderella story was complete, but there was a backlash. Some elements of the press accused Mariah of exploiting black music styles.
The Village Voice was sort of questioning whether Columbia Records was trying to pass Mariah as white.
Mariah, I gotta ask you this. Are you a white girl trying to sing black?
The criticism struck at the heart of how Mariah's ambiguous racial identity was being portrayed.
These ideas of racial authenticity are part of the fabric of American life, and they play out in music in particular ways, and Mariah had to sort of struggle through the brunt of that. She was a very confusing figure to a lot of people.
At a lunch organized by Columbia Records, Mariah tried to explain herself.
My father is black and Venezuelan, and my mother is Irish. That makes me a combination of all those things.
It was a public declaration of her heritage, something that for years had been a tricky subject.
She had to come out and say, I'm biracial, I'm black, and I'm white.
And what I'm not is a white girl trying to sing black.
Mariah's plea satisfied the journalists.
Any other questions? You, over there.
But the issue of identity would continue to dominate Mariah's life.
There's something gnawing away at her, whether it's her background, whether it's her upbringing, whether it's the control that Tommy Mottola had over her. It shows a great insecurity.
Mariah Carey's breakthrough single, Vision of Love, made her an instant star in 1990, aged just 20. But mainstream success brought mainstream expectations and revealed Mariah's Achilles heel.
After the first album came out and was a huge success, everybody was immediately saying, you've got to go on tour, and she would not go on tour.
There was this kind of negativity towards her, the idea that she's a studio creation, that she doesn't sing live, that she's not authentic.
That was good, but can we do another one? Okay.
As Mariah began work on the song Emotions for her second album, she experimented with studio technology to create complex, multi-layered vocal harmonies.
I kind of didn't like that one.
She was a studio rat. She lived in the studio writing songs.
Okay, let's do another one. A little more volume in the cans.
Her songs are so carefully and intricately made in the studio, they become very difficult to sing live.
Tommy's team had created a safe space for Mariah to indulge her musical instincts. But by March 1992, critics were fretting that she still had not toured.
People say, like, well, there must be something fake. Why can't she do it live?
What do you think? Can we do it one more time, though?
I know I'm painting a picture of a diva here, but she was fragile.
Come on.
Thank you.
She just didn't want to go on the road.
Tommy needed to prove that Mariah could sing live, but he knew a full-blown tour was out of the question.
Tommy called me up and he says, I got this gig I want you to do for Mariah Carey. I said, Mariah Carey? I said, wow, man, I love her. You know, she's a great singer. He says, yeah, man, it's for the MTV Unplugged. Can you make it?
MTV's Unplugged showcased acts in a live environment, in contrast to MTV's usual diet of pop videos.
The unplugged genre itself was specifically designed to tell the world who can really sing, who can really play, and who should stay plugged in.
In the historic Kaufman Astoria studios, Mariah set about creating her TV concert debut. She knew her reputation was at stake and took extreme measures to prepare her voice.
She had all these humidifiers in the dressing rooms everywhere. I found that to be unusual. There was immense silence.
Hey, Mariah, how much longer?
Nobody was allowed to talk to Mariah or approach her.
She carries a very powerful aura. Do not disturb. Very giant. Leave her alone.
It just felt like everyone was on edge because it was live and there were people there and it was an audience and it had this electricity of a huge concert but in someone's living room.
Vision of Love, Emotions. Like all her iconic lead singles are these sort of big vocal workouts where she goes into her upper register and down.
Mariah's songs had been stripped down so they could be played live. But sound engineers still struggled to deal with Mariah's incredible voice.
She would go from almost a whisper to a full throat, kind of R&B belting. And, of course, when you get up to the bird whistle, it's very quiet. And so we're challenged as recording engineers to be able to capture that huge dynamic range.
But Mariah's obsessive preparation couldn't quite mask her fundamental shyness.
We could see the nerves. It was part of the big attraction with her. She was a real person. The camera loved that.
MTV's Unplugged was a watershed. Real musicians, real singing. Mariah Carey proved she was an authentic artist.
I mean, it was pretty damn good 40-minute show, 35-minute show.
The final broadcast was built from multiple takes, cut together, to create the impression of a single seamless performance.
I think we did it 3 times or 4 times through, the whole show. And it was a very long day.
It worked out wonderfully, and if it made people think in hindsight that she was a better performer than she was, then great.
Mariah's credibility as a live performer may have been achieved with smoke and mirrors. Nevertheless, by 1993, Mariah was a bona fide pop princess with the world at her feet.
Mariah, hey, hey, hey.
And one question preoccupied TV pop shows.
Do you have a boyfriend that lives in New York?
Do I live in New York? Yes.
Do you have a boyfriend?
No, not really.
From the beginning, Mariah's love life was coyly off limits. So it was a surprise when in April 1993, Mariah revealed that she was ready to get married. to Tommy Mottola. Even Mariah's brother had been kept out of the loop.
I was really pissed off when I got the wedding invitation. I mean, like, wedding invitation? Like, you guys are dating?
Mariah's relationship with Tommy had been kept under wraps for months.
I would imagine that they kept it secret for a while because Tommy was married.
We didn't know how long it was going to last, but all I know is that it seemed pretty cool at the time.
The June wedding was the celebrity event of the year and spared no expense.
She had this train that was just endless. You know, she looked like she was straight out of a fairy tale.
This is a wonderful occasion. Come on, we should be happy.
The ceremony was marked by a rare coming together of the Carey clan.
My brother was there, my father was there, my mother was there.
If they had any personal animosity, they put it aside for the sake of their daughter's happiness.
I want you guys to have a good time.
Yeah.
Mariah seemed very happy on her wedding day. From what I saw in her eyes, you know, when she looked at him, she loved him.
But the happy sisterly reunion belied a childhood filled with tension. Mariah's relationship with Allison had suffered after she moved in with their father.
Mom, Allison, I gotta tell you something.
But she became a powerful influence in Mariah's life after another family crisis.
I'm pregnant.
Allison was very young. I recall her being maybe, I think, 14.
Do you love him? Of course I love him, Mom.
Mariah had a front row seat to the animosity and the arguments and the fights between mother and daughter.
I tell you what, you go back with your father.
What a great mom. What a great mom.
Get out.
Allison had her child
And you're quite an example, aren't you?
and eventually married the father, but struggled to find stability.
Allison's entire life turned into a downward spiral. She started taking drugs. It was just a sad state of affairs.
Mariah having Allison as a model, even if she wasn't living in the home, all the stories of Allison's escapades and lifestyle choices absolutely influenced Mariah.
Hey, come on. Let's go get a drink.
For some, Mariah's experiences as a child could have been a factor in her decision to marry Tommy.
Well, Mariah herself has spoken about the fact that at first, Mottola's control did feel to her like a kind of stabilizing force, because she had always felt in her life like the rug could be pulled under from her at any moment.
From the beginning of her career, Mariah had grown to depend on Tommy's protective bubble. Now he started construction on a $10 million mansion in rural Bedford, 50 miles from New York City, as a safe haven for their life together.
The mansion was beautiful. And my kids and Tommy's kids and Mariah would be there and friends would be there and we'd be playing baseball or tennis and swimming and riding horses. I mean, it was just a pretty wonderful, wonderful period of time.
Just 7 weeks after their marriage, Mariah released Dream Lover, the lead single from her third album, Music Box. The song's soft instrumentation, combined with the carefree innocence of Mariah's performance in the video, helped Dream Lover become her 7th #1. But the song reflected a growing creative tension between husband and wife.
She wasn't a pop artist when she came out. She was marketed pop, but she's an R&B artist who loves hip-hop, and Tommy did not want to integrate rap into her music.
Dream Lover was sort of Tommy Mottola's vision of Mariah, and Mariah sort of meeting it halfway. And it did blow up.
Despite the success of Music Box, Tommy's ongoing control over Mariah's image was beginning to rankle.
Mariah herself complained that Tommy Mottola was trying to turn her into this icon of white suburban girlhood, like the blandest kind of persona, perhaps obscuring certain aspects of her identity and emphasizing others.
From the start of her career, Mariah had submitted willingly to Tommy's controlling personality. But now, even her dreams and ambitions were subject to Tommy's approval.
Hi, honey.
Hey.
What do you think?
It was becoming clear to Mariah that Tommy valued her musical instincts.
It's
great.
Yeah.
Love it.
But that's as far as it went.
Hey, listen, while you're here, I've been looking into maybe doing some acting classes.
Acting?
Yeah.
Honey, I think we should focus on your music right now.
Mariah's ambitions to become an actress were ruled out.
Any time that she took away from singing and recording to take acting lessons was hurting his bottom line.
But you know what? If you want to perform, I got a great idea. Let's go on tour. How's that?
It seems that as far as Tommy was concerned, if Mariah was ready to perform, then it was time to tour.
It was still seen as very strange that somebody who was selling millions and millions of records and who had her videos on MTV wasn't developing a touring audience. I mean, it was odd.
It's incredibly important for their credibility. So they deliver on stage, but they deliver on record.
I'll let you get back to it.
Okay.
Mariah couldn't argue with the logic that she had to tour. But despite seemingly conquering her fears of live performance with Unplugged, the idea terrified her.
Mariah Carey always had a phobia about performing.
Tommy booked 6 shows over 5 weeks. First stop, the vast Miami Arena.
Mariah was completely unproven as a live entertainment act. I believe I was the first reporter to ever review her live on an arena stage.
I mean, I was there, going out really for the first time, and in seeing 17 or 18,000 people. It's harrowing.
Could she duplicate it on stage? That, of course, was the giant question mark. Could she do it on stage?
Her performance of Hero was caught on this amateur footage.
She was nervous. She looked a little lost on stage. I remember her being dressed kind of casually. I remember walking out of the arena that night feeling very underwhelmed.
She probably didn't sing as well as she could sing in the studio. She wasn't happy with the show.
What the hell was that?
Tommy, hold on. I think it was my fault.
What the hell's wrong with you guys? It looks like you guys don't want to be here. Get the hell out of here.
Tommy knew his wife's career was in the balance, but it was up to Mariah to deliver. She had 4 more shows, and the next was in just 6 days' time.
A lot of people counted Mariah Carey out. I think she felt a lot of pressure. She felt, again, that she had now something to prove.
But Mariah's failure at the Miami Arena would prove to be a turning point as she began to evolve a new persona for the stage. In Worcester, Massachusetts, the pressure was on.
She had to channel whatever insecurities into her performance. The performance had to be bigger than life.
Mariah's transformation can be seen on Entertainment Tonight's coverage of her performance of Emotion.
I always saw that little bit of nervousness, but then all of a sudden, gone. And she was the artist right there. At that moment, she became the queen, the artist that she was. That nervousness was the fuel that would ignite the fearlessness.
That concert tour was a turning point. Was she well on the way to becoming a diva? Yes.
She loved being a diva, darling. That's the way she projected to her audience.
Mariah's musical identity was blossoming, but Tommy's grip on her personal life was tightening by the day.
You know, the tighter we clutch, the more damage we do. And he was choking the life out of her.
When Tommy Mottola first married Mariah, he'd set to work building their marital mansion in rural Bedford. It included a recording studio for Mariah and a firing range for gun lover Tommy. Isolated and vulnerable, it seems Mariah began to experience a different, darker side to her record company boss.
Tommy basically took the control he had over her career and brought it into their married life. He would alienate Mariah from all her friends from back in the day, and by degrees her family.
When Morgan paid a surprise visit, he saw the mansion was in lockdown.
Tommy was always very security conscious. There was armed security around. It was intimidating.
Morgan, wasn't expecting you. Yeah, I came to see Mariah.
Tommy says, Morgan, come up here. Let me show you something.
It's a gun, Tommy.
And he shows it to me. I'm like, yeah, that's nice.
Hey, Morgan.
Hey, you look great.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and seeing me.
Later on, I would hear the stories from various producers who had worked with Mariah, who had the same story.
You okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Come on, guys.
Morgan could tell his sister was troubled, but he quickly realized she had to be careful what she said inside the mansion. She was under constant surveillance.
Thanks for stopping by, Morgan.
I remembered Mariah. She wanted to talk. She wanted to tell, share some stuff with me that she knew she couldn't there because he spied on her, used the intercoms to listen in on her.
I'll call you tomorrow, Mariah.
Please do.
Tommy was super jealous. Come on. Do you ever take a butterfly in your hand and squeeze, like not even squeeze, but just gently hold it? You can't do that. The tighter we clutch, the more damage we do. And he was choking the life out of her.
Despite Tommy's obsessive control of his wife's day-to-day life, he still encouraged Mariah to follow her musical instincts.
Oh, JD, do you know what you're doing here?
Of course I know what I'm doing, man. I'm a genius.
But when she invited producer Jermaine Dupri to the mansion to remix Always Be My Baby, along with rapper Da Brat, Tommy would find his all-powerful influence begin to slip.
I like that bit there.
Bruh.
Who bring the ruckus and the stress like meth? It's evident the residents are so deaf. Oh!
I know it made Tommy very nervous. Tommy would hire extra security when the hip-hop types were there.
Hey, bruh, you want a verse on this track? You want a verse on this?
There was always armed security around, often retired PD and law enforcement.
Check him out. See that?
Hey, come on, man.
I love that, man.
Man, y'all goofy. Man, next time you in the city, you should give me a call. I know some crazy new spots downtown.
Finally alone, Mariah felt comfortable enough to confide in Da Brat.
The only thing is, I really don't leave the house much. If I go anywhere, Tommy has someone take me.
That's crazy. Yeah. Man, you want to go get something to eat? I'm hungry. Yeah, I like want a burger or something. Yeah?
I never went to Sunday school, even church. Maybe just for Christmas, but what it's worth seeing wasn't forced in it.
Oh my God, girl, you ain't been driven before.
Together, they snuck out of the mansion for a taste of freedom. Jermaine Dupri revealed what happened next during an interview on internet radio station Red Mask Channel.
So I'm downstairs making a beat in the studio, trying to make the song right. Then all of a sudden it's like an alarm going off in the house. Tommy and everybody's looking for Mariah. She's disappeared.
Where's Mariah?
I don't know nothing about it, but they not believing me. So I'm getting questioned, and I'm like, I don't know what is going on.
Girl, hold this steering wheel straight. Yeah, JD, what's going on?
Hey, Mariah with you?
We're driving.
Well, get back over here. Tom wants to know where she's at.
JD, I can't hear you.
What is it? Get back over here.
You're breaking up. Oh, bad connection.
Mariah's mischievous bid for freedom was a sign that she had seen through Tommy's ways.
got it. You got it. You got it.
And they went to McDonald's, like on some bullshit, like to see people panicking and niggas almost like beat me up. That was crazy to me.
Yo, New York in the house. It's Brooklyn in the house. Right. Uptown in the house.
Mariah pushed rap remixes to the limit by enlisting ODB to transform Fantasy, the lead single from Mariah's 5th album, Daydream.
For her to have that Fantasy remix with ODB helped bring together pop and hip-hop in a way that we now take for granted.
She's one of the first people to do that thug duet. She's joining up with a hip-hop star, and she's giving it a slightly softer edge.
Mariah was on a creative roll, and now Tommy's influence went only as far as keeping the rapping confined to the remixes.
In 96, Mariah Carey was at the top of her game.
The incredible chart success of Fantasy and the album Daydream made Mariah the hot favorite at the 1996 Grammys. Success here would be the recognition from the industry that Mariah yearned for.
Because Daydream and Fantasy had such an impact and it had really changed her image, I think that she did hope that finally she would have some kind of credibility with Grammy voters.
Since her first album scored 2 Grammys in 1991, Mariah had won nothing. But this year, she was nominated in 6 categories. The star-studded Grammy ceremony was broadcast live to 20 million homes, and Mariah was the focus of the show.
And the album of the year is Jagged Little Pill.
Mariah was hoping she was going to win all of them the same way that we did.
If you look at the footage, she's like, she starts to look increasingly annoyed as the night wears on, as she got passed on each one of them.
I do remember being shocked and actually being pissed that she didn't get the recognition that she deserved.
It was a terrible night for all of us. We felt bad for her.
It just wasn't your night, that's it.
Mariah held one person responsible.
The night of the Grammys, the after party, Mariah had a meltdown.
I sat there all night long watching everyone else win a Grammy. I feel like a fool.
There were speculations that like she just didn't have the credibility.
You're turning me into a franchise is what you're trying to do.
That she was Motola's puppet.
Well, I'm not McDonald's, Tommy.
Calm down.
Yeah, calm down. I trusted you, and you couldn't even get me a Grammy.
It seems Mariah's public humiliation would prove to be a tipping point in the marriage.
The night of the Grammys was basically putting an end to everything that meant anything in the relationship.
Basically, she's saying, if you don't think I'm bigger than you, I'm out. I'm the star of this show, not you.
By summer 1997, Mariah had split from Tommy Mottola and returned to New York City to start work on her next album and reinvent her life. MTV's Raw tagged along on a night out and showed her new carefree attitude.
She just likes to have us as company around.
Mariah hung out with cool people, hip-hop artists and musicians, and basically was trying to relive a part of her life that had been missing for a long time.
But Mariah also felt the pressure of being a free agent.
Dealing with the other aspects of the whole celebrity thing is very bizarre, and it's also kind of new for me because I was really sheltered from it in the beginning because I did start out so young and I was surrounded by very powerful people, and they kept a lot of things from me, and maybe some of that was good, but some of it was bad because it didn't really prepare me for how intense it is to be in the public eye like this.
Disentangling the personal from the professional was a very complicated, fraught situation for Mariah Carey. She grew to depend increasingly on people that were already sort of part of her entourage and that were part of her career, regardless of whether they were the best professionals for the job or not.
During this interview on MTV's Raw, Tabitha Soren's frustration with Mariah's entourage boils over.
You don't, I've been put through hell for the last couple of months over this interview, and you're not gonna f me over now. Every time I deal with you, it is a nightmare.
Mariah's first video after leaving Tommy gave no hint of the turmoil in her team. Honey had Mariah channeling a Bond girl escaping from a huge house.
So the video about the kidnapping, she wrote the script and she made the video.
Mariah's message was clear. She had escaped Tommy's control.
It's like Mariah had the last creative laugh on Tommy.
Honey was Mariah's third single to enter the chart at #1.
That breakup helped her to really fly up like a phoenix to the sky. Now she's free to do exactly what she wanted to do without any criticism.
Mariah's new sassy direction was a hit with fans, but she was still signed to Columbia and was acutely aware that Tommy remained her ultimate boss. She knew his reputation for ruthlessness, and according to Morgan, rumors had started to fly.
Very shortly after she moved out, Mariah heard all the stories that Tommy had these publicists that were doing character assassination on her, and she believed she was being followed. She was really, really scared.
So glad you came.
It's okay. Mariah pulls me into the cab, and I didn't know what was going on, and she said, "They're following me." And I look back, sure enough, there's a car following us. So that was the point where the racing and the manic behavior I saw for the first time. It was very unsettling.
To the outside world, she was an independent woman at the peak of her musical powers. But privately, Mariah's mental health was beginning to crack.
Her mania was absolutely precipitated by her fear of Tommy.
Are you ready? Okay, let's go. Let's go ahead and do it.
Late night on the phone.
Mariah Carey was not yet 30 years old, but she was already one of the most successful female recording artists of all time. Her struggles to take control of her life have seen her divorce Columbia Records supremo Tommy Mottola, although she was still on his label. In 1999, Mariah's 7th album, Rainbow, set the bar for her new sexualized image.
Come down, come down.
Rainbow was kind of this moment where she felt that her hip-hop and her pop side was finally coming together. And the Rainbow album cover, I mean, it's like she's very innocent but girlish, but she's sexual. There's literally a rainbow spray painted across her butt cheeks.
Did you get my butt? That's great.
It was very much her sort of saying, like, this is all of me, take it or leave it.
The Rainbow album only made it to #2 and was criticized for copying earlier hits. The lead single, Heartbreaker, was picked out as a shameless remake of Fantasy, which also built its hook from a sampled beat. And despite a video inspired by the movie Grease, overall record sales were down, and Columbia execs debated whether Mariah Carey's career had taken a wrong turn.
We could argue whether the hip-hop influence hurt her, helped her, brought her a greater audience, brought her a more limited audience, all of those things, but for a good 10 years, her instincts were perfect.
In the year 2000, Mariah poured all her energies into Glitter, the movie project she hoped would revitalize her career. But it immediately became clear that all was not well.
We knew she was in trouble some way. We all thought that she was going to have a breakdown.
During filming, Mariah became increasingly paranoid about music piracy, which led to a confrontation with the movie's sound mixer.
About 10 days into it, she just snapped, and she said, "I never, ever want to be recorded." I thought, oh dear, there's trouble here.
Don't beat yourself up.
She was not behaving like a rational person would.
I just want it to be perfect.
We all had to bend to Mariah's will.
Throughout filming, the press was drip-fed reports of Mariah's tantrums and diva behavior.
There were lots of stories emanating about her eccentricity. Glitter was a great opportunity for lots of journalists to put the boot into Mariah. But you began to think, what's causing this? This is not just diva behavior for the sake of it. Is there something else going on?
Mariah suspected that behind the scenes, Tommy had been busy grooming another diva to take her place at Columbia Records.
Tommy signed Jennifer Lopez. The word on the street was he wanted a new Mariah Carey, and she was going to be it. Mariah, she took it to mean that this was Tommy's way of maybe getting even.
There was a speculation that Jennifer Lopez had been given information about Mariah Carey's music. She was left so paranoid, it was very difficult for her to trust her team at Columbia Records.
In spring of 2001, Mariah jumped ship to Virgin Records, taking the Glitter soundtrack with her. But immediately, there was a crisis. Loverboy was the lead single from the Glitter soundtrack album. But just weeks before its release, Mariah had to re-record the whole tune.
The original sample from Loverboy was a record called Firecracker. All of a sudden, that shows up on a Jennifer Lopez single. Your direct competitor.
JD.
Hey,
Hi.
what's going on, girl? You good?
I'm good. Listen, let's just get this done, okay?
Oh, okay.
Can you focus?
God, what a mess. At the last minute, the entire song had to be redone
Go ahead, JD.
with a sample from a different song.
Can you guys get out of my eye line, please? Thank you. Thank you.
It later emerged that Tommy had personally arranged for J-Lo to use the sample from Loverboy.
There was no paranoia whatsoever.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Factually, she was getting jacked and sabotaged, and that's it.
Sorry, JD, I gotta go.
Okay, okay, you
Bye.
take care of it.
You too. Can you please pick up the pace?
By the summer of 2001, Mariah's pet project Glitter had become the perfect storm.
I can't trust anyone right now.
She had all of these things coming at her that were poison arrows. It became overwhelming.
Mariah sought refuge at her mother's house, but according to Morgan, by mid-morning the police had been called and Mariah's distress was out of control.
It was crisis mode when I arrived. I was very disturbed and manic. You're watching your baby sister spiral and feeling helpless and powerless. I kept telling her, it's okay, we're gonna be all right.
The details released about Mariah's breakdown were sketchy, and speculation was rife.
There were a lot of rumors that she'd tried to kill herself.
No. I need to feel well.
There were things said about her being suicidal. It's absurd.
But certainly she was in a very, very bad way.
So tell me, doctor, what's wrong with me?
Mariah was admitted to a psychiatric ward and evaluated.
The mood swings you've been experiencing, the insomnia, anxiety, it points to bipolar disorder.
At last, Mariah had an explanation for her overwhelming anxiety and manic behavior.
The bipolar diagnosis happened in the first hospital and wasn't common knowledge. I know that she was prescribed medications. These medications, the psych meds, they cut off the lows and they cut off the highs.
Is this really gonna help?
Mariah was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and a decision was made to keep her bipolar diagnosis a secret from the world.
I mean, if you think back to that era, early 2000s, star celebrities were not as forthcoming about whatever they considered to be defects about themselves.
Mariah's diagnosis as bipolar came at a moment before the conversation around mental health and celebrity started. I think she kept it hidden because she felt she would be looked at in a stigmatized way.
Mariah gave her account of what had happened to Larry King a year later.
What happened?
Okay, well, it was an emotional and physical collapse. That's what it was. I physically collapsed in my mother's house, and when I collapsed, she freaked out and called 911.
I don't know how many people knew about the diagnosis. I just know that it was not called a breakdown, it was called a period of exhaustion. It must have been hard to conceal that.
Mariah's decision to keep her bipolar diagnosis a secret was to cost her dearly.
This is gonna be one of the biggest things I have ever done.
Mariah's movie debut was meant to be a cathartic release from her troubled childhood and family. But when Glitter hit screens in August 2001, it was a critical and commercial disaster.
When the public rejected Glitter the movie and Glitter the music, it was like a personal slap in the face. It was like all her efforts had gone for naught.
Adding insult to injury, Mariah's record label now saw her as a liability.
Virgin got cold feet and basically wanted to cut the contract, and they wound up giving her a huge amount of money to just walk away.
9 months after signing her in a record-breaking $100 million deal, Virgin paid Mariah $28 million to tear up their contract. The rejection was a bitter pill to swallow. But Mariah had another, more personal crisis to deal with. Her father, Alfred, had been diagnosed with cancer in 2001. She'd had little contact with him since her parents' divorce, but in the wake of her breakdown, she made it her mission to build bridges.
It's great to see you.
For not ever having had a relationship, all of a sudden, really, it was kind of, it was dialed up.
Every little girl loves her father. Some people are not given the opportunity to have a relationship with their father. But the opportunity then comes along, and he's dying of cancer.
The reunion held some surprises.
There were a lot of things that our father had hoarded through the years.
Oh my gosh, I remember that. Yeah, those are all my friends in school.
I mean, he had some stuff, and that we never would have imagined that he had because he wasn't communicative. We were like, oh, okay, maybe, you know, maybe he did give a damn. Maybe he had some level of pride about, you know, about his progeny.
But their bonding was short-lived.
I was there with him, watching him go from, it's almost like watching somebody deteriorate right before your eyes, and it's very, very
Went fast?
painful. No, not, I mean, he held on longer than we thought.
Out in the Hamptons at the hospice where he died, we were there together, she and I.
Alfred passed away in July 2002.
After he had passed, she called her father's answering machine and she recorded his outgoing message. And I remember her just sitting in her room crying, listening to it over and over again.
The album Charm Bracelet, released just a few months after his death, paid tribute to Alfred in the song Sunflowers for Alfred Roy.
Doing the music kind of was a healing process. That was his, sort of like our little thing together, the sunflower. So sort of a lot of symbolism going on.
Mariah's raw emotion made Charm Bracelet her most personal album. But the record didn't sell, and Mariah was criticized for harking back to her early ballad style.
I think that the Charm Bracelet album was almost like a throwback to Music Box. I think that they were scrambling to sort of figure out which part of Mariah Carey's audience they should sort of try to revive.
Within just a few months, Mariah had suffered devastating personal loss and a mental health crisis that left her career in tatters. Many believed that she was a spent force.
Between 2002 and 2004, really, Mariah Carey fell off the edge of the globe. If someone's not on your radar, you forget about them.
But for those who knew her best, Mariah was very far from finished.
She would be very reclusive and reinventing herself. That takes time, you know? And she was rethinking her life. She would sit on the piano and hum a couple of bars of something that she wrote in her house somewhere. She never asked anybody, hey, should I do this? No. She knew what she wanted, you know? She was ready to go again.
In 2004, Mariah recorded We Belong Together, reunited with Jermaine Dupri.
What Mariah Carey is doing is pulling her old buddies in, people that can help her.
Come on, though, you look good, man, I tell you.
The collaboration was a return to her roots.
She grew up listening to heavy R&B, and she grew up listening to ballads. She grew up listening to gospel. That's ready to explode any minute.
We Belong Together was Mariah's 16th US #1 single. But the video had some familiar themes.
People have often speculated that Tommy Mottola is the subject of the We Belong Together video. So I just thought it was funny, and it was very her.
We Belong Together was the second single from Mariah's 10th studio album, The Emancipation of Mimi. In the album's title, Mimi is Mariah's nickname, used only by her closest friends. It was a sign that she was ready to reveal her true self. With global sales of 10 million, the album became Mariah's best-selling release in a decade. And at the 2006 Grammys, after winning a standing ovation for her headline performance, Mariah went on to collect 3 Grammys in the R&B category. It was one of the most unexpected comebacks in pop history.
It's like Mariah found a new voice at a moment when a lot of people counted Mariah Carey out.
By trusting in her instincts, Mariah had turned her career around. Back on top musically, she then turned her attention to her private life. And in spring 2008, Mariah began dating comedian and presenter Nick Cannon after meeting him at an awards ceremony. 6 weeks later, they were married.
I'm not sure anyone really saw that coming. It was kind of a left field matchup.
Nick was 10 years younger than Mariah, and she'd been his teenage crush.
I just think it's funny that he was originally a fan and pursued her in part based on his admiration of her.
Some saw their union as an extension of Mariah's newfound confidence.
She'd been in a relationship where she'd been controlled by Tommy Mottola. Now she wanted to wear the pants in the relationship. And I think Nick was a suitable candidate for that.
Mariah was now 38 years old and had a pragmatic reason to rush into marriage with Nick.
Her biological clock was ticking. She wanted children. She wanted some semblance of a real normal life.
Mariah became pregnant with twins in 2010 after fertility treatment.
Nick.
But 5 weeks before her due date, she was rushed to the hospital.
Okay, baby, breathe deep. Yeah, breathe deep. Mariah Carey's had a very, very difficult pregnancy.
Despite the seriousness of the situation,
Okay, come on, guys, let's go.
Mariah's diva-like behavior was never far away.
Apparently she has the whole hospital closed down, so it's only her.
You look beautiful, baby.
Mm-hmm. Thank you.
How you feeling?
Better.
Oh, how they doing? You ready? You good? You sure you want to do this?
I'm really sure.
As doctors performed a C-section, Mariah had Nick play a recording of Fantasy live at Madison Square Garden.
I mean, I think insisting that your babies be born to one of your hit songs is pretty diva behavior. She claims what's played to you immediately after you exit the womb does form your personality. So I think that she was trying to instill in them greatness. You could be as great as I am.
Is it done?
Yeah.
In April 2011, twins Moroccan and Monroe joined Mariah for a photo opportunity.
I aspired to be a good mommy to them and to have them love me for me and hope that all the other nonsense that they'll read and see ultimately will not mess with them too much, because that's, you know, it's there. They have to be, exist in the real world, and that's, you know, it's hard.
Mariah's urge to protect her kids made her retreat further into what Nick Cannon called her bubble in an interview with Vlad TV in 2018.
First of all, the purpose of the bubble is to protect. When you think about it, like, Mariah shuts everyone else out because she doesn't want the negativity of the outside world to infiltrate her household, especially with raising her kids and her own happiness.
But Mariah's dependence on her bubble was a double-edged sword, because its integrity relied on the loyalty of her entourage, and they knew all her secrets.
These were paranoid times. The specter of bipolar was hanging over her. She was afraid of what the consequences might be if it was brought to the public.
Friends and family began to question the role of the people Mariah was increasingly relying on.
Hey guys, hi.
I believe post-2001, Mariah's been very vulnerable. Who are these people that are close to her, and are they taking care of her, or are they not?
Mariah was very paranoid that people would be loyal to her and would not sort of turn on her.
Her paranoia on the matter led to a lot of non-disclosure agreements being signed by the people around her.
Nick Cannon spelled out the danger that Mariah faced inside her bubble in his interview with Vlad TV.
The people who are within the bubble with her can then can threaten to tell the outside world lies and things, and then that's what gets scary, because then that person who's in the bubble can't trust anyone.
Ironically, it was trust in Nick himself that poisoned his marriage to Mariah when he went on the Big Boy TV show in March 2014.
How many famous women has Nick Cannon been with? Name 5.
Mariah Carey.
No, you gotta take Mariah.
Nope,
Christina
you didn't
Milian.
say that.
Okay, well go ahead.
Mariah Carey, Christina Milian, Nicole Scherzinger.
Whoa.
Salida Ebanks. Oh, Kim Kardashian. Bam, 5. This is easy.
To get up with all that bravado and start talking about who you've bedded, and you're with my sister? I mean, come on, seriously?
you think, why is he doing this? He's going to ruin his marriage. But obviously that's a battle for control. Mariah might control him in terms of a career, in terms of money, but sexually, he's controlling her. He's saying, I don't need you that much because I can sleep with anyone I want to.
Mariah and Nick filed for divorce in 2015, but stayed on good terms for the sake of their twins. Mariah's single Infinity followed hot on the heels of their split and sent a clear message to her ex. But Mariah's diva bravado didn't convince fans to buy her new record.
Infinity only got to 82 on the charts. And I think it spoke to the fact that Mariah was once again, in some ways, losing touch with the pop audience.
Without Nick, Mariah's entourage had, once again, become her biggest influence. And the hastily assembled compilation album turned out to be another bad decision.
She was surrounded by all these yes men. I think that eventually her sort of turning constantly inward to the same kind of entourage, it started having a detrimental effect on her career.
Mariah realized that her team needed new blood, but her choice of new manager would have catastrophic consequences. Mariah Carey's marriage to Tommy Mottola revealed her vulnerability to controlling personalities.
You're turning me into a franchise is what you're trying to do. Well, I'm not McDonald's, Tommy.
Since splitting with him, she placed her trust in her entourage, including the secret of her bipolar diagnosis. But after a series of bad career decisions and a second divorce, Mariah decided to make radical changes to her retinue in a bid to seize back control of her life. In May 2015, Mariah began a short residency at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas.
Here you are, about to launch your tenure here in Sin City.
There are no limits, and this is a beginning and a new chapter, so here I am.
Mariah's show in Vegas was the typical big budget, larger than life, greatest hit show.
The Vegas gig had been arranged by Mariah's new manager, Stella Bolognikov. The Russian emigre had been introduced to Mariah by friends, and they had immediately hit it off.
Mariah's relationship with Stella was probably a matter of convenience. Stella had the kind of personality that worked with Mariah.
But a destructive pattern was re-emerging.
Stella was a controlling individual, ran the show, and it was pretty much the equivalent of what Mariah's relationship had been with Tommy Mottola.
Thousands made the pilgrimage to Las Vegas, but for fans and friends, the shows revealed a decline in Mariah's vocal abilities.
After 15, 20 years, your voice starts getting denser, you gain some weight. That range diminished.
It didn't feel like the old days, like anything else. As athlete, a drummer, those things you have to work at and practice and keep those muscles in tone.
Critics were more brutal. The New York Times said, Las Vegas has become a safe haven for setting stars. Mariah is in decline, trapped in a cage of her own making. Mariah's musical career was in trouble, and questions started to be asked about her new manager. On the face of it, Stella was an unlikely choice to manage a pop star's career.
Stella Bolognikov came from the world of reality television.
Stella knows how to play the I'll tell you the stuff you really want to hear, and tell you all the girl power and sister this and sister that.
They became very good friends, and Mariah would confide in her.
Spilling her secrets to a relative stranger was dangerous, but Mariah put her complete trust in Stella. And Stella saw reality TV as Mariah's next move.
Welcome to my world.
In March 2016, filming began for Mariah's World, a white-knuckle ride through her sweet, sweet fantasy tour.
It's an insight into a world people might not see.
And the goings-on backstage.
Mariah going down the reality route, I thought it was a little bit strange.
You're an iconic woman. Why more exposure?
For me, it was more about, you know, the process of documenting a tour. I've never done that before.
It was not good.
The reality show was big on cheap laughs, cheap one-liners. It just had a very tawdry, no reason to be doing this except to get Mariah Carey's face out there. I felt it was a real step back.
Mariah seemed to have fallen under the spell of another charismatic individual, and alarm bells were ringing about Mariah's grip on reality.
You begin to think, what's she trying to say? What's she doing? Why is this happening?
In the months after Mariah's World, there were reports that Mariah's mental health was fracturing.
The story goes that she asked her nanny to get the children, get her twins ready for dinner. She was wearing a tiara, a ball gown. Mariah reportedly said that Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston, and Prince were about to arrive for dinner. Now, bear in mind, these people are dead now. So quite rightly, the nanny freaks out. I think if it is true, for Mariah to really believe that these three dead people were coming to have a wonderful dinner party with her. She's obviously someone who's suffering tremendously.
Now attracting attention for all the wrong reasons, Mariah's career hit an all-time low when Stella arranged for her to headline New Year's Rocking Eve in 2016.
Mariah Carey's performance didn't go quite as planned, but there's dispute this morning over why. Carey and her team say it was faulty equipment, while one of the show's sound producers says the only issues she had were non-technical.
After her playback system apparently failed, she stumbled through her 6-minute performance in Times Square, watched by millions.
She kind of like hilariously went along with some of the choreography and was giving kind of almost like commentary as the song played.
Others didn't see the funny side.
There were people saying she's stoned out of her mind, doesn't know what she's doing, this is embarrassing.
That was amazing.
She had this whole perceived history of stuff happening to her and bad decisions, and it just seemed like another one.
I think that that whole New Year's Eve fiasco kind of fed into a lot of the narratives that have played out about Mariah Carey throughout her career. The idea that she's a studio creation, that she doesn't sing live, that she's not authentic. And sort of all these things seemed to get staged in that one moment of a malfunction.
Many blame Mariah's humiliation on Stella Bolognikov. Inside Edition picked up on the recriminations.
Mariah Carey's ex-husband is coming to her defense today. Tommy Mottola blames Mariah's own entourage for the New Year's Eve fiasco. My advice is that she should hire more seasoned and respected professionals to surround her and help her.
By November of 2017, Mariah had split with Stella, but her mental health now appeared to be in freefall.
Yay! Today's the day! A little excited. Try to get festive with the ensemble. Yay, nay, I don't know. So anyway.
Fans were shocked by Facebook posts where she seemed to be in the grip of a mania.
There were 2 elves running around here. Anywho.
Now she's flouncing and she's behaving in this odd way.
I just got my nails done, in case anybody cares. We've chopped them off.
So you begin to think, again, why is she behaving in this way? Is it psychological?
Yeah.
After 3 decades of struggling to create an identity worthy of her talent, Mariah Carey seemed to be on the brink of another breakdown.
Hi, Jess. Thank you for coming. Are you ready to do this?
In spring of 2018,
Well,
Mariah confounded expectations again.
until recently, I lived in denial and isolation.
Mariah Carey went on the cover of People magazine to go public with her bipolar II diagnosis.
Mariah admitted to journalist Jess Cagle that recent events had pushed her to finally seek treatment.
She basically put it all out there. There would be no more secrets, no more speculation.
I think it's brave of her to admit it.
I'm comfortable talking about my struggle with this bipolar disorder. Thank you.
Some commentators wondered if there was a pragmatic reason for Mariah's confession and quizzed ex-husband Nick Cannon on Vlad TV.
I had heard a rumor that the reason why Mariah went public with this was that one of her ex-employees was threatening to expose this publicly.
Nick didn't hold back.
When she came forward with her statement, it was like relief for me. I was so proud of her. Like now, I told the world who I am.
Yeah.
So now you can't hold anything over my head.
A week after Mariah's confession, her now ex-manager Stella filed a lawsuit against her for sexual harassment. She made several other accusations, including that Mariah was addicted to alcohol and prescription pills. Mariah vehemently denied everything.
A lot of people have screwed you over in your life too, as well. I mean,
Well, these things happen. What are you gonna do? You can't cry in a corner for the rest of your life.
Whatever the motivation for her frankness, Mariah's confession laid the foundation for a future unburdened by secrets and a return to what she does best.
My prince was so unjustly handsome.
In September 2018, Mariah released GTFO, her comeback single showcasing a fresh twist on her R&B roots and a sultry new look. Rolling Stone called it an understated new pop gem with a crystal clear message.
Great singer fulfills her destiny. Universe supports talent and perseverance.
She is the queen of the voice.
I think she should call me and we should write songs again. True singing, true writing.
Those songs they live forever.
She has this desire to be the best, and that's what she does.
My hope as her brother is that what's next brings her joy and happiness, always keeping you here.
Even in spite of roadblocks, even in spite of bad decisions that she herself has made, she's a survivor.
She always comes back and she's always reinventing herself, so we just have to stay tuned.
She's an incredible woman. She's beautiful, she's powerful, she's strong. She's more woman than many women. And yeah, she's the greatest diva I've ever met.
Tomorrow night, it's the place to scour for those last-minute prezzies with the lowdown on Oxford Street 24/7 at Christmas, new Thursday at 9. But next tonight, surely her own sweet, sweet fantasy baby. Mariah Carey's A Christmas Melody in just a moment.
Potato.